I don't. Yeah.
And we're back. We are back after a game, a performance, a win. Uh, Jared's here, Barney is here, Barney's on the panel, Abdul is here, Realism is here. Realism, Jared, same person. Um, Bonkers. Yeah, lots of people already in saying hello. Abdul, good to see you, man.
Hi, Bon.
JK, Barney, how are you feeling?
Um, well, it was a bit disappointing as a game, but we've got over the line. We're one step closer. That's all I can say, really.
Yeah, as a match, yeah. Chances chances were made, but still at the same time, it had a very kind of testimonial kind of feel to it for a long time until they got that disallowed goal. JK, what were your thoughts on the just overall thoughts on the match
Mm,
performance?
it was okay, but we allowed Leicester to have a few little sort of chances. Not great, but we got the job done. Um, yeah, it had that testimonial sort of flow to it. You know what I mean? Not
I
great,
didn't
really.
realise. Sorry, Jack. I didn't realise that they were going to be relegated if
Yeah, they're down.
yeah.
They're gone.
So that makes sense, really. Now for me, why they tried so hard, because I kept thinking, how come, this game's so flat for us? But you can understand if they're trying to fight relegation, they're going to give it everything, can't they? Even though it wasn't enough.
Yeah, the lineup did it change because of the change as well? It changed because of Trent, didn't it? But
Yeah,
other than
that's the
that,
mad one. Fair play
Trent
to
or
him.
Jota did nothing really. Elliot bits and pieces. The subs that came on, it wasn't. Yeah, like the performance can just kind of flat. Not a lot of energy. We did create chances, which is kind of weird, but in a kind of a
Mm.
uh, basically the same ball. And that kid Justin had a great game, or not Justin.
Oh, the young
The
kid,
left back Thomas.
yeah.
Thomas, he had a great game at left back against Salah. The more we tested him, the better he was getting. We were trying to put the same ball on top of him every time, and every time he basically dealt with it, he had a great game. He was getting better and better. Um, Salah might have gotten one early; it might have been different, but he really, really grew into the game. Jota did nothing. Elliot, I would say, bits and pieces. Jones hardly got any real time. It was only really Trent coming on, and well, hit the post, got cleared, came back, hit the bar, got cleared off the line, and then eventually drops to Trent, and he slams it in. It's a crazy goal. But that celebration told you a lot, though, didn't it? Jake, the celebration to me that was like, well, you can't fake that, like. Or Bernie,
Well, did you
Trent
did you
celebration.
yeah? Did you see the interview afterwards?
No,
Um,
not yet. I didn't. I came straight here.
yeah, they interviewed Trent afterwards, and actually said to him, I don't know if it was Cara, I can't remember who interviewed him now, but somebody, or it might have been Kelly, but one of them interviewed him and said, so what does this mean for you? And he said, well, I've always said I'm not going to discuss it, and he said, but more or less, he was saying that for the team, and he'd always like give everything, for the club, but he was very enigmatic, so At first, I was thinking when he ran up to the crowd, you know, you're trying to read his body language, and I thought, oh, he could be saying, "You're all having a go at me, and I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. Look what I've just done." But on the other hand, he could have been saying, "You're all having a go at me, and I'm giving everything till the last minute. So don't. I've given everything for this club." And after seeing his interview, I think it was the latter. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, yeah. But you still can't fake that kind of emotion. That like it runs both ways, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean he's been at the club since he was what 6 or 8 or something. He loves this club. People, we can all be upset about him going, but the only thing we're upset about is that we can't get 100 million for him. Well, I'm not saying us. I'm talking about a lot of the fans. You know, they're upset because we can't get 100
Well,
million.
it'd be nice. It'd be nice if he was going to leave. It would be nice if we were getting 100 million quid for it. But that's just not the way it is. Yeah.
No, and you could say, Brian, well, McAllister stayed on for his club, to get them some
Mm.
money, and that was very admirable of him. But Real Madrid aren't that sort of team, are they? They want you to make a fantastic
Oh
offer.
yeah, exactly. He doesn't go there if he costs 100 million.
No.
Doesn't happen. They're not giving you. No, that's exactly the thing. Yeah.
But that's what
Correct.
success brings. Free transfers.
Did you ever see that movie Sliding Doors, where what could have happened? And I was thinking today, like Klopp and FSG wanted Mbappe. Do you remember they took him for dinner on the plane, and then
Going
they
for a
took
helicopter ride around the Côte d'Azur,
Monaco.
up around Monaco. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they
Stay out of those
wanted.
helicopters, billionaires. Stay out of helicopters.
Well, then they wanted Jude Bellingham, didn't they? And you can imagine, like, if they'd have got them, Trent wouldn't have been going anywhere, would he? And we would have been the Real Madrid, sort of like ruling everywhere. So it is a bit like
Oh
sliding
Jesus!
door.
If we had Bellingham and Mbappe in this team right now, wow.
Well, you would be the best in the world, wouldn't you? There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Sorry, Dom. Sorry, Diaz. I mean, yeah. How realistic was Mbappe? We probably would have lost him by, if you know what I mean. But the chance was there. At least we went and we tried to get him when he was leaving Monaco, not when he was leaving PSG. Like we
Yeah,
knew what the time was. Like the time to get Bellingham and was when he was leaving Dortmund, not when he was leaving, or
yeah.
not leaving Dortmund, leaving what was the team? Birmingham. Birmingham. That was our chance to get Bellingham. Was to get him then. You get like even with like Dele Alli going to Tottenham kind of thing. Yeah.
It does say though, Brian, that like the fact that they were looking at them early on, they could see the potential. They could see the potential that came on even more so. So I think that's a good sign. That you could say, well, we were looking at them, before they're worth what they're worth now.
Yeah, Lee is just sorry, just it. Alexander is in, Lee is in, Trudon is in. Good to see everybody. Thanks for coming in. Lee is saying you have to give credit to Traveling Cop. They were so loud. Trudon saying a wonderful parting gift. Yeah, if you never know, he might have one or two more in his boots. Abdul is giving ratings there. Dr. Pops in the building saying hello. Exactly. One more win for 20. Spurs at home. Red for Life is still in the building. Yeah, one more win. Spurs at home. Do it in front of the fans. That'd be nice. Especially in a good game against Spurs. A 4-3. A bit of a thriller, a bit of a mad one. I don't mind it as long as we win it. I don't want like 5. I don't care about I just like a great game. Real entertaining kind of, oh, what a classic kind of thing. And Liverpool won and they won the title. Just one of those ones that you can look back and go, oh, that was some game, lads. Bit of entertainment for the fans. Turn on the style. And there's no better team than Tottenham to play against if you want to go for a bit of a ding dong match, and see how that works out.
In a way, Brian, if we win, hopefully we're going to win Tottenham. I'd much rather win the Championship at Anfield for all the fans to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah. That's why today I weren't really. I was more. I didn't mind Arsenal winning because I thought I'd rather play Tottenham at home and win it. It's
Yeah.
just better. You know what I'm saying? But for me, just going to Trent quickly, he is one of the best players for me at Liverpool. But when you look at his passing range and stuff like that, you know, when he's on the pitch, he can do something from the defense to the attack in 1 second, and like he could score a goal today. He did it, and that's just like it's just like a film, you know. The whole week he's been getting dissed big time. Like I've never seen nothing like it, man. This is like he's getting more dissed than a lot of our players have been, you know, Coutinho, Suarez, and all these guys. Trent's been getting it big time, and him scoring today, but really happy for him. He's one of our best players. That's the reason why I'm sad. It's got nothing to do about a fee. Fee's a fee at the end of the day. FSG will probably keep it anyway, but we got value. But for me, it's the quality he brings to the table. That guy is just top class, you know.
Mm.
Not because he scored today, just in general, he's a top footballer. He's a top footballer. You know what's going to be funny? If he ends up staying, then he'll realise who the Judases are in the fan base. You know, we're like, oh, they're treating me like this. That's what I'm saying. Until it's official, respect the guy. You know what I mean? Until it's official, just leave it as it is.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? He could actually turn around, and if he turned around, and he said he was staying. You know, he was just sorting his contract out. How many fans would feel guilty at the stick
Big
that
time.
he's from them?
Good though. I'm happy because if you've read the comments I've read in the last week alone, I'm like, yo, this is under his sort of name in the Liverpool. You know, when Liverpool give tweets during the week, oh, these guys training, this guy, this, whatever. Under his picture was like loads of comments and stuff. You know what I mean? So, but if he ends up staying, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. Hi,
And
Baz.
you know,
I hope you're cool.
we haven't heard from FSG or him yet to say he's going. We've heard from everybody else, and I think Real Madrid forced that on us. Even like that.
They do bully boy tactics.
Yeah, even with like the kid.
Trent, or typical Madrid bully boy, big, biggest swinger in the room kind of thing. This is what they do now. Yeah, come out, they leak all these things out to people. You know, they don't say it themselves, but they let everybody know that, you know, Fabrizio Romano will come out and say on their behalf, oh, Trent has been told that if he wants to run down his contract, he'll be welcome at Madrid, blah, 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 blah. It is pure bullying, basically.
But it's a good way of forcing him to go because, you know, it turns the fan base on him. You know, even if you
they know exactly what they're doing, yeah. They know exactly.
Yeah.
They got it down to a fine art now at this stage, Barry. They've got it
Yeah.
down to a fine art.
I mean, if you look at, like they had his girlfriend, Jude Law's daughter, where they were advertising underwear, and they had the biggest, remember, right in the middle of Madrid, they had the biggest poster of him up straight away. And then the thing with the kid who took the Madrid shirt to him and asked him to sign it, they've played a propaganda campaign to get him. And you know, and the worst thing is, if he wasn't sure about going, and then, you know, he's seen our fans turn against him, and that's helped him make his mind, which is what Madrid wanted all along. That would be really sad.
Baz is here.
What did you think of the
I
game?
want to welcome Baz to the.
Yeah, big up people, big up everybody in the chat. What I think of the game, a win's a win, I guess, and it it doesn't matter how it's come. It's 3 points, closest to the title. In terms of the game, we controlled it. But we're very wasteful. We are very, very wasteful with our chances. It's been like that for a while, to be fair. But in the end, we took one of those chances and we've got the points, and we move on.
Poor game, though, in terms of energy, I thought. Do you think Baz is kind of real kind of testimonial type energy? I thought at the start, Charity Shield kind of energy.
I think I think so. I mean, like obviously, the last couple of days being online. Look, we do look tired. You know, we can talk about the manager and his rotation. We can talk about the players. You know, certain key players who have been relied on to a lot this season. You know, they're all humans at the end of the day, I guess. But like I said, you know, a win's the win. You know, and hopefully we can bring in some players next season to, you know, give some of these players a bit of break, or give Arnie Slot his opportunity to rest players if he's not trusting of certain players. It did feel a bit. It did look tiring. The players did look a lot of, you know, very tired. But at the end, they created like, you know, 23 opportunities. So I mean, you know, we had enough to win. You know, we just got to be a little bit more clinical, because if Leicester were up for that and it was a much more important game for Leicester, obviously it was, because they had to win it. On a better day, a better team could have given us trouble. But look, today we're talking about this game. 3 points, Trent's left foot goal. Yeah, a win's a win, and we move on to Tottenham next Sunday.
Yeah, it is set up a little bit for. I know before you came on, I was just saying, like, it'd be nice to like have a real good, entertaining game, wouldn't it? Against a side like Tottenham, like a 4-2 or a 5-3. You know, just a real proper kind of bit of excitement in it. But we win it, not just a 1-0. You know, just a real entertaining game that people want to watch again. You know, like when watching the game today, you know, the match we won the league, you know, it was a brilliant 5-3 against Tottenham. Everyone was flying, everyone was on form. You know, a really good game of football. And I think we don't really do that much that often. But against Spurs, as happened earlier on, they have a way of bringing out that type of game in teams. So it'd be good to have. I don't look, we're going to get the same team, but it'd be good to have just something other than that, like 55 minutes of football in second gear today. And it didn't happen until Connor Cody got that goal disallowed. That's when the game woke up. I was watching with Bernie. We were saying that, like, after that, it was fine. It took that disallowed goal, for us to, within 30 seconds, went up the other end. Now, we'd had chances before that, but they were real kind of bits and pieces. But there was something about the energy after that. You know, yeah, just something that needed to kind of shake us into life. So that game could have done with a goal earlier on from Leicester.
be fair,
we probably would
Brian,
have beaten 4-1.
To be fair, Brian, I think this whole season it's been pretty much like that. You know,
Yeah.
there was an opportunity. I think when they hit the post, when they hit the post, and then we went literally seconds up there. You know, and Salah nearly scored. It was a good save from their keeper. But this is still when I look at it, a Jurgen Klopp team. You know, and he doesn't want to play like Jurgen Klopp. You know, it's a team that's very. It's like a George Graham team, you know, at some points, because it's been boring this season, and it feels like I'm disrespecting the club, but I'm not. I really don't. It's just when you look at what we were, you know, to what we are now, we're a bit more controlled, measured, and stuff. And some people will like it, some people won't like it. Some people prefer the action packed, and some people just prefer the defensive 1-0 wins. Ultimately, we've won the title with it, but as Liverpool fans, or me in particular, I like the previous administration's way of playing. However, you know, I didn't like certain things, but we could go win the game, play attacking football, fast counter-attacking, heavy metal football, and then towards the end, once we've put the goals in, you know, then you can do the boring, you know, defensive, like, you know, soak pressure, just control the game. Yeah, so
See you
I think.
later, Lee.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lee's heading off. See you later, Lee. Take care, man.
Yeah, big up, Lee.
There's one. I don't agree with that from Abdul. He's saying Bradley looked out of his depth today. He's not a match fit. I didn't think he looked out of his depth.
No, I thought he was all right.
I thought he was okay. He did have a few little shaky moments, but nothing out of like, you know, like, oh my God, he's like terrible, or if he's not match fit. I think you're gonna get little hiccups in the games, aren't you? Everyone's gonna have
He's a
them.
young player.
And he was all right. He was okay. You know, I think, to be fair, if we looked at all the players today, a lot of them gave 7 out of 10 performances for me, which ain't bad, and that includes Bradley as well.
Paz, can I just say, you know, it's really easy, isn't it? You know, for us to, after we get a run of bad games, it's easy for us to forget just how well we were doing up to then. And when you look at it before Christmas, we were all saying, when we were all doing match predictions the day before, we were all saying 3-0 to us, and we were getting that 3-0, you know, on a regular basis. And it's only sort of like after maybe January where it's sort of dropped off. So those 3-0s have dropped down, and we've been lucky, you know. And like you say, you take 1-0 just to get over the line. But you know, I think that the contract situation, like last year, we had the Klopp leaving, and we went all the way through flying as if we were going to win the league, and then, you know, the nearer it got to Klopp going, the more we lost our bottle, and we went. And then it seems like this year has been the same, you know, with the contracts. I just want a year where there's no contract thing, there's no Klopp manager going. We just have to concentrate just on the game and just on ourselves, without all this, you know, outside noise coming in, you know, because that must affect. It's, you know, we talk about it all the time, so it's got to affect the players and in the dressing room.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's always something. There's always something, isn't there, that people are concerned about, or with us. And it'd be nice to actually have, like you said, a season where we're just getting on with things, where there's no issues with contracts, managers, I don't know, ownership or whatever. But unfortunately, that's just football, isn't it? You're going to get that now. You know, literally. I mean, we have been okay. I mean, when I look at the first game of the season, you know, and I mentioned this yesterday, I think, you know, we're a team that we're efficient. We're efficient. We get the job done. It's you know, we always say, like, it's a game of two halves. Early on in this season, it was more like first half we weren't that good, and, you know, second half we're a lot better. Salah's been on form. The last couple of months or so, Salah has had a little dip, shall we say, just a little dip, and he's our main threat. We've got other players in there, but, you know, Gakpo had a brilliant start of the season, and then he picked up an injury. Diaz, Jota, Nunez, you know, we've been efficient, and, you know, it'd be nice to actually, you know, obviously a lot of the beginning of the season, like, people were talking to Slot about, oh, you know, Klopp this, Klopp that. Yeah, Klopp made a great team. It's all still Jurgen Klopp. And I think we just need to move on now, in the sense of, right, okay, we'll have you know, we'll take the season. We've won the league. Next year, it's going to be obviously his second year into it. Hopefully, he'll be able to bring his identity and give us an idea of how he wants to play, what he's going to do with his team, the kind of players he wants, because this is pretty much a Jurgen Klopp team. You know, we might be playing more controlling, passing football, or maybe like a very defense-minded kind of play next year, or he might be even more on the offensive and bringing more efficient players in. Obviously, he was talking about in a press conference about his number nines, wanting them to score goals and that, and our number nines this year haven't really done that great. More or less just Salah. So, you know, potentially we'll have a different way of playing if we can get someone like a Isak or a you know, someone like that can work well with Salah. You know, it will take the pressure off just Salah as well. So it's gonna be interesting this at the end of the season and in the summer to see what really happens. But like I said, right now we can only focus on what's going on this season. And this season we've been the better team, and we're going to win the league. And
yeah, we can't play. we can't get Baz. I mean, I think this is only happening because we're winning it so early. Basically, if it was coming down to the last 3 games and we'd had them at arm's length or whatever, it was only ever 4 points. And then it took like till 2 weeks out, and we still didn't know, and then we won the league. It's
Yeah.
because we've won it basically since pretty much March. Kind of thing has pretty much been done. People have started to kind of pick at it a little bit. We've lost sight of the fact that this is a bloody league title. We've only won 2 in the last 30 odd years. This only our second since the start of the Premier League era.
Yeah.
I know we have like 18 before that, but
Mm.
this is not something we do a lot, as much as we like to think of ourselves. I think he's lost. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's just like there seems to be like I can't. The celebration should be a lot higher for me. I just think it's because people. Yeah, obviously we got knocked out of the cup and got knocked out of Europe, but the fact that we're winning the league should be completely overriding everything else. It's just not, and I think it's because we've done it so early.
Yeah. If Arsenal were close behind us, 2-3 points, then it'd be like, whoa, what a win away, 1-0 for Leicester. We'd be celebrating right now. That's what it is, bro. I think that gap was there to do something in the Champions League for me. I think if the Premier League title race was a bit more tighter, then you can understand us sort of failing at the Champions League and whatnot. But because of that breathing space we had against with Arsenal, for me that PSG game was there to win, So, but I just think the gap has taken the energy out of the title race, and hence why us guys are a bit like not really going to OTT celebrating today. I think if we were 3 points ahead of Arsenal right now, and we were level on points before the game started because they won earlier, then we would be celebrating big time. And that's what it is, bro. But at the end of the day, we're going to win the Premier League. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I just think it's like this sounds stupid, but like when you get a bike for Christmas and it gets wrapped, like it's what it is.
Mhm.
You know what you're getting. You're just having to wait for it. Whereas there's a box, you don't know what's in the box. You're not going to sure if you're not sure what you're going to get. It's like you're sitting there looking at. There's no jeopardy. There's no mystery. There's no surprise. It's just like Arsenal drop another couple of points. We get a draw. Boom, we've won it. There's no, it's not going down to the last couple of games. I don't want it to, but I just think, and also I think a lot of people are worried. Baz, I'd be interested to know, and Bernie, what you think. And I think Liverpool fans are great at manifesting things, if you know what I mean, by trying talking about things and then trying to manifest them. This idea that if Arsenal win the Champions League, the fact that we've won the league kind of at a canter, early doors, poor Man City, nobody will be talking about Liverpool winning the league. All the people, football media, I suppose, the only big story at the end of the league would be, oh yeah, Liverpool, they won the Premier League, but we've all known that since March. We all just want to talk about how Arsenal have won the Champions League. They're kind of terrified.
That's why it can't happen, bro. It won't happen. I think PSG and Barca are on the day. But Arsenal are looking good right now. For some reason, they must be eating spinach or something and listening to You'll Never Walk Alone in their training sessions, something like that. But for me, Arteta is a joker, and he don't deserve nothing. So for me, I hope they lose against PSG.
Yeah, I couldn't care about what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like Arsenal, I don't care what they do. They win the Champions League, yeah, all right, fine. That's something we've as for banter and that. We can always say they've never won a Champions League, and it'd be nice for them, not to win a Champions League, so we can still banter them. But to be fair, all I'm concerned about is my number 20. Matching Manchester United and then beating them, hopefully over the next few years, if we can sustain a challenge. Champions League, we'll be up there again. We're good. We're good in Champions League. Obviously, we met a very, very, very good PSG team that did a job on us. On over 2 legs. But you know what? It's one of those. It's part of football, isn't it? You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. We're still the undisputed kings of Champions League, of Europe in England. Premier League wise, we're just building our trophy cabinet again, by being the undisputed kings. Obviously, it's moved on a lot since back in the days when you got that Man City now, and obviously Newcastle potentially at some point. Arsenal are better, where you're going to have more challenges. But I'm only concerned about what we've done. And to be fair, if anyone said that we win the title this season with Slots, first season, I think many people thought we would, and we've done it, or we're nearly there. It's amazing. I'll take that champions at that, with being the champions of England, and with some more additions to our squad to make it better, and go again next year. And hopefully next year we can do well on all four.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Brian, can I say something?
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, like a lot of people are having a go about Mo, like he's not on form, he's this, that, and the other. But a lot of people will have seen an interview with him recently where he said, you know what he's like. He's always happy, isn't he, Mo? And he marches to the beat of his own drum. And he said, he was happy with his goals, but he wanted to improve the other players. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to help them improve theirs. And that's what bothers me a bit, because he's taken a lot of stick and he's really tried sometimes to, he's got the assists. His assists are up, but he's also passed the ball quite a lot over to Jota, Gakpo, Diaz, and they fluffed it at the end of the day, But then because Mo hasn't scored, he's got a lot of stick for it as well, So I just wanted to make that point. Should he be more selfish and just go for it? And everybody thinks he's the bee's knees because he's already got a really high scoring season for goals. But I think the fact that he's magnanimous and wants to let others join in that, and he passes it, sometimes it costs him, because a lot of the fans have a go at him when he hasn't scored in a game.
I think his standards are really high, isn't it? Since he's been here, he's been our top scorer, and and he has over the years he's become a bit more selfish, and rightly so, because he's trying to get those numbers in, trying to win the games for us. And sometimes people like Jota and Nunez who are not firing, you need someone that's going to be more clinical, and that's what Salah's done. This year, he's spread his assists and his goals pretty much equally, and he's been brilliant. But I mean, to be fair, it's my own observation, and do you know what? He's been brilliant for us this season. But from my personal observation, the last couple of months, it hasn't been vintage Mo. If we look at the numbers that it was previous to that, he was scoring a lot more, assisting a little bit more. Against was it West Ham or the game before last? He assisted. So he's still getting numbers in. Today he was very unlucky with the double post thing. But he has dipped a little bit. But he's human. He's human. He's not a machine. And more times he will score or win a game for Liverpool, whether it's people, saying that, he doesn't score the goal in open play. It's just been set pieces and stuff like that, penalties. It doesn't matter. The fact that you have to step up and score these penalties or these free kicks or, all these 1-0s and it's Mo Salah on the 78th minute, whatever it is, yeah. He's been vital for us. He's been vital for us. The only thing that I don't like is that if he wasn't playing, I'd be very concerned about our creativity, because
we ain't winning this league without Mo, boss.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what
We
I'm
ain't
saying.
winning this league without his numbers. Look at
This is
everybody
it.
else's numbers. Look at his numbers.
When you look at what we had previously, we had if it wasn't Salah doing anything, it was Mane. If it wasn't Mane, it was Firmino. Obviously, like now we've got him, and I don't want to rely too much on him, because I don't want to tempt fate, and hopefully he goes on to be, scoring plenty of goals for the next couple of years. But we need someone else there as well to help him. We can't just rely on Mo Salah all the time, and I think our manager has to see that as well. We need balance in this
But
team.
I said it was basically, now everybody says he always calms down after winter, after kind of in the new year, March, April. Some people put a different time on it. Okay, cool. If that's true, that's true. But the numbers he's put up is phenomenal. But I just said this year is kind of like a little bit of it is the answer to the question: can somebody at his age, regardless of how fit they are, can they continue to put up the numbers that he put up in the first half of the season? Is that sustainable over a year in the Premier League? Guess what? It isn't. Now, it seems very balanced towards one half of the season because he was breaking, like we were making jokes about it on every show. Every time we played a game, there was a new individual record or individual achievement that he was breaking for 6-7 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
He'd score a goal or get an assist. It was like the first player to do this, the player with the most stat, the first player to do it, the fastest player to do this.
Yeah.
Every week, Mo was breaking some kind of crazy, but legitimate individual milestone. Not weird stuff people are just making up, but like fastest ever to get this many assists, quickest to get this many goals plus assists, quickest player to get this many goals. It was ridiculous every single week. He wasn't just scoring creating. He was putting up milestone after milestone after milestone. So is that sustainable? People were saying, "Oh, there's no Afcon this year," but yeah, it's the drop off was a bit stark in that month where like we all talk about getting knocked out against PSG, Newcastle. I mean, Ali was out that month.
It
Mo
was also
had a
Ramadan as
terrible
well.
month in that time. Yeah, it wasn't just the whole team was in a funk that year, that kind of period. Mo's numbers dropped off massively. He hasn't picked them up, but you see him today, he's extremely dangerous.
Mm.
So it's like, oh, when you look at his numbers at the start of the year, but if you say, oh, well, he's got like, what is it? Non-penalty goals in the last lot of games, basically. Now, so a slight concern, but at the other end of the spectrum, without him, like I said, if you replaced Mo, I'm not saying you take Mo out of this team. Obviously, someone else is going to play. So let's just put in, like someone said there, a Brian Mbeumo, and you add in a good season with him. Let's say he gets 15 goals. That's why we don't have Mo this year, and we have an Mbeumo. He gets 15 league goals. You add that up to, and say 4 assists. You add that into what Diaz, Gakpo, Jota, and Nunes have gotten. That doesn't win you a league title. That kind of output.
No, it doesn't. No, you're right. It doesn't. But I think
He's so focused, though, isn't he? You can see that. He's signed his contract. He knows what numbers he wants to achieve. He's seen all the stats of who's got what, and he's so driven, Mo, isn't he? That I think next season he's just going to go all out for it as fast as he can to get everything. I'm not saying it's an ego, but it's a passion, it's a desire with him that he wants to be the best in every way, better than anybody we've ever had, and which we'll benefit from. But when I mentioned about him before, I was more or less saying, okay, thank God we've signed him, because without him, really, the spotlight should be on these other players, because they're really not stepping up anywhere near him.
Well, again, we can talk about this, J.K. Bernie. Again, someone we didn't a substitution or an alteration people wanted to see before the game was, I would say 90%, maybe say 80% of people that were talking wanted to see Dom dropped. And I'd say maybe 90% of people that wanted to see him dropped wanted to see him replaced with Harvey Elliott. Now, I said, like, I wanted to see him dropped, but I didn't have huge faith in either one of those people to replace him, but I still wanted him to be dropped. If one person was going to come in, it would have been Elliott for me, more creative than Jones, but Jones probably more tactically disciplined or some shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, for me it would have been Elliot, but it took 70 minutes. Elliot comes in. Dom finally gets the hook in a game that again he did nothing of any real note in to affect the game. So, is there a chance that Elliot does start the next one, or will it be Dom again? Was that
It'll be
just, oh, you've had your 70 minutes and I'm making a change, or no, you've been shit, you're coming off? Do you know the difference I'm trying to make?
yeah.
You know,
Well,
it's not, yeah.
the only substitute that I've seen make any impact on the game for us has been Chiesa. And that's a sad indictment, really, that, because Harvey has got so much promise, but he's not delivering when he does come on, I don't think. And I think Jones is limited in what he can do. So, really, for me, Chiesa's been the only excitement with a sub that could have changed the game, that we've had for a while.
And where was he? Sitting back in Manchester or somewhere having a cappuccino, watching the game on TV.
Oh, well, I don't know why he wasn't. Is he injured? Why wasn't he there?
Exactly.
You know,
Baz, what do you think? Dom
um,
out finally. Did
I,
you want?
yeah, I mean, I'd like to. I want to disagree. I think when Harvey Elliott's come on, he's been very forward thinking. He's not passing the ball sideways. He's not running around like I mean, Szoboszlai has his qualities, but it's in terms of attacking, he's not that great. I mean, he hasn't been that great so far. I mean, he definitely has the qualities, but he's not showing it consistently, and it's very few and far between. When Harvey Elliott has come off the bench, he's the one that's passing the ball, trying to look forward for like a clever pass. And it's, if anything, I think Harvey Elliott is the player that's more offense minded than Szoboszlai at times. I do agree with the Chiesa thing. Obviously Chiesa, when he does come on, it looks like something's going to happen. And
Always.
the reason why he's not playing is because it's just this guy's not injured. This guy just doesn't want him. I really believe there's an
It's
issue with.
political, it's personal, it's
Yeah,
something, Baz. Definitely. It ain't
that's why he's
football.
not on. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want a Chiesa, like a fit Chiesa, coming on for like the last 70 minutes, on the 70th minute, 60th minute, even, I don't know, 80th minute to make an impact. The reason why
Up
he's
against a tired fullback, him running at you for 15
it's,
minutes. We've all seen it happen. We know what's
yeah,
going to happen. He's going to get chances.
it's very political. Yes, when he comes on, it's just more for desperate measures. But if we're winning 2-0, 3-0, or 3-1, or we're controlling the game, we're doing well, you're not going to see Chiesa, unfortunately. It's just he just puts him on when he's desperate, expecting Chiesa to do something. And to be fair, Chiesa has played pretty well with the very, very limited time that he's had on the pitch. But I really don't know. I mean, I don't really see Chiesa staying for long, and I don't blame him, to be fair.
And he's such a team player as well. When the others score, he's first on, running on to congratulate them, and and then when he's on the pitch, he's appealing to the crowd. I just think it's such a shame. If he goes, I would, for one. I've been supporting Liverpool since I was a kid, and I would be really, really unhappy that we've missed a chance there. We'll never know. That's the problem. Whether he would have been good, whether he would have been injury prone, we'll never know if he never gets the chance. But how many of us can be wrong? Because you read, you look at all the other channels, or you look at, all the Twitter things or whatever. Everybody's talking about bring Chiesa on, bring Endo on. It's so. Slot, is for some reason is evading that. It's not in his agenda, because he would be the obvious choice for some games where you think this isn't happening for us. Let's get someone on who can create a bit of something. And Chiesa, when I've seen him play, he's always made a space for himself, even in a crowded box full of defenders. He can make a space for himself and have a crack at goal. And I think to myself, well, what's Slot not seeing? So I agree with you, Baz. Like we've said before, for some reason, Slot doesn't like him, and he's, we may as well say goodbye to him because I don't think he's going to get a chance.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, let's not get it twisted. Chiesa a couple of seasons ago was £100 million player. If
Well, then he did his ACL, but
before he done his ACL. But there's no evidence to show since he's had his ACL he's been poor because
the season before we bought him, when we bought him, the season before that he played I think 38 games for Juve in all comps, so he was fully back fit.
Right.
And then they decided to freeze him out for whatever reason because he wasn't going to sign a new deal or something. So they left him behind when they went away. He had no preseason. He was training with like some kids in the park or at the training ground, training with some kids, no specialist work with him or anything. Yeah. And kind of forced him out. But people are saying he isn't the same player he was, but even if you're 90% of that. But the year before we signed him, he played basically every single game for Juve.
Well, this is it. I mean, this is what my point was. I mean, like before his ACL, he was a great player. He was scoring goals. He was worth about that. I don't know.
Oh, he was phenomenal. He was £100 million player. Like I said, he would have been quoted at that if you wanted to buy him. £100 million.
And everyone, a lot of teams wanted him. It was United's link with him, Chelsea's, Liverpool's, Arsenal's. They were all big teams that were interested in him, and we got him. And
best player at the Euros. He was the best player in the Euros.
100%.
Yeah.
And he's come to Liverpool, but unfortunately, he's not been. Through Slot's, I don't know, issue with him or whatever it is, we'll never know. But he's not had the opportunity, and he looks rusty. But not in a bad way rusty. You know what I mean? It just feels like, give this guy 5 games. 5 games, get himself better, and he'll be a lot better, and he will offer us a lot more because his work rate is amazing. His dribbling's amazing. His shooting's amazing. He just needs that opportunity. But again, Slot doesn't want him or he doesn't rate him or whatever.
Baz, I'll say to you, Baz, okay, but let's get down into it here then, right? Let's say you want to start him for 5 games in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not dropping Salah for 5 games.
No, but you can play.
So he's not playing on the right.
But he can play either.
Exactly. So we can. So that's another thing. Like a lot of people, because a lot of people think he can only play on the right. It's either him or Salah or nothing. It's like no, put him. Like I want to see him play through the middle. So obviously you're not going to drop Salah for 5 games in a Premier League season.
No.
So Salah starts, right? Gakpo or Diaz are going to probably be starting off the left, and they'll deserve to start, Diaz and Gakpo. So he's not going to get 5 starts there. So to me, the only way you can get him into a team, and I would love to see that as well. Like I've said, I've never seen a player in recent times that can come off a bench and be so instantly in a game. He takes about 5 seconds to get up to the pace of a game.
Yeah.
But some players you come in and you don't see him for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Chiesa comes off the bench and within about 14 seconds, he's touched the ball. Yeah. Within about a minute and a half, he's had a dribble. Within about 2 minutes, he's had a shot. He's instantly up to the speed of a game.
Could you imagine Chiesa and Salah on that pitch together? Playing off each other. I think it would give us more than we've got now with definitely with Jota.
Better than Jota.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I had a look at his stats. When he first come in, most of his injuries were down to fatigue. He couldn't play or muscle fatigue. That was before he came.
It's all post ACL because when you get a big injury like that, then you'll always get 6, 7, 8 little things because you've been out for a year. You come back and then you get a little thing, then you get another little thing. But they're all little things. As long as they're little things, it's fine.
Yeah,
that's
isn't that what Verge had, the ACL? Wasn't it the same injury? And look at how we got him back. And with AXA, with the I'm sure he's had fantastic treatment with us as well. Since he's come to us. But it's like you said before, Brian. How many other players have you ever seen get on a pitch and he's into it straight away, like he's been playing
instantaneous?
Yeah.
It's like I always said. It's like he's to me. It's like he's run off the pitch from a 7-a-side game that he's been playing for half an hour. It's like he's run straight off. His touch is straight. Like he isn't coming on cold. He's on a pitch beside the match playing 7-a-side. He's played for 20 minutes, so he's up to speed. His touch is on, and he runs straight onto the pitch. He's like, bang, bang, give me the ball, bang, shoot, pass, dribble. Other
And you know,
players, they need 5-10 minutes to just work their way in, get their touch. His touch is just on straight away, immediately. He's like, pass me the ball, give me the ball. You know, Pops is saying, Laszlo, problem is Chiesa has always come on as a break glass solution, never from the
Yeah.
jump when tactics are different. Yeah, of course. Look, he got to start against Plymouth. Endo. People are like, this is when people are talking, oh, Endo can do this. Endo has not started a Premier League game for us. So we don't know how we play when Endo starts. Harvey Elliott has never started a Premier League game for us this season. You know, these are people who are coming on. Endo comes on when we're winning games. Endo has never come on when we're losing a game. He didn't come on today. He won't come on unless we're 2-0 up. Endo will not come on. He came on the other day when we were 1-0 up and we fucked it up. We nearly lost that game. We thought we'd won it. We brought Endo on. Things changed. But these are people. This is what I'm saying. It's like, I know people say, oh, if we played Endo, if we played Chiesa, what I'm saying is we do not have the evidence to say,
yeah, they're not
look at
tested.
those 20 games the Chiesa, Endo, and Elliott started, and we won 17. Look at that body of work that we have where Simicast, Endo, Kwanzaa, Elliott, Jones all started, and we won this, we won that. It's not there. It's all what ifs. It's all saying, like if Endo played, if Elliott, we're not saying it's, but it wouldn't happen, but it's all based on kind of, not knowing stuff. So with the players that we have, we've won games. He knows what they can do. We don't like a lot of it. We're being real picky. Now we're going to be called ungrateful Liverpool fans because we're winning the league title and we're trying to pick it apart. But we know what we can be doing better, and we don't want to be in the same situation next year because, like I said, it's one of the biggest myths in football. Everybody says, "Oh, this team will be better next year. That team will be better next year. This team will be better next year," and they aren't always. But I think next year, yeah, City probably will be a bit better. They can't get much worse. They might be better. So we might not have. I don't expect Arsenal to be much better than they are this year, but we might not have a. I don't want to call it a free run or an easy run, but as open a chance to win the title as we have this year, and it's all fair play to us that we went and did it, by the way. So we have to make the proper changes to this team that need to be made. Address the fact that we haven't made enough changes over the last 4 or 5 seasons, 5 windows, and bite the bullet and accept the fact that 6 or 7 changes is probably too much in one season. But if we do it, then we'll set ourselves up for the next 3-4 years without having to go crazy. Because you can take this team now, you can strip it back, you can replace some of the outside parts, not the internal parts. You don't have to get rid of everybody, and you can massively improve it, and future-proof it for the next 4 years. Because it's a team that's grown a little bit old under Klopp, and we've signed up Salah and Virgil, 2 guys in their mid-30s, which is fine, which is great, 2 top players, but they're guys in their mid-30s. So this team also needs to have some of the older parts removed, and we need to bring fresh and new energy into this team to complement what we're doing with the older players staying. Because if you let the other parts like Simicast, players who have been here for a long time, always in and out, Elliott always in and out, Jones in and out, Nunez in and out, if you let them get old as well, you'll have a problem. This team needs new and fresh energy to complement the fact that we've signed up 2 very non-FSG old players to very lucrative contracts. So that's something I really want to see done in the summer. A player like Kirkes to me is the obvious example. Kirkes is like Andy Robertson 6 years ago, doing sprints up and down, like crazy energy, something like literal energy to the team.
that's our sort of play, isn't it? You know, Salah on the right, and you know, when it used to be like Mane on the left, you know, and then somebody in the middle to receive as well. I mean, that's always where we've been our best, I think. And I think when you lose the pace, and obviously Andy Robbo's lost his pace to a certain extent. Diaz has still got it, but we're not getting the end result with him. I mean, I'd like to ask a question. If you lined up our, you know, well, say you lined up Jota, Gakpo, Diaz, Chiesa, Mo. I'm trying to think if I missed anybody out. But if you lined those up and you said, like, obviously Mo's going to start, who else? Who would be your first one out of the others to start after Mo? And then go down, you know, who would be, if you've got, so that's Mo, Jota, Diaz. You got 4, Gakpo. And if Mo's going to be your first one, who else? Who would be your second, third, and fourth out of those 3 to start?
Diaz for me.
Diaz.
Diaz, Gakpo. What are you talking about in terms of forward lines, or are you just talking generally speaking, like any
attackers kind of thing?
Oh, attackers. Salah will have to be, obviously Salah is.
Yeah.
But when I look at it, I mean, forwards are judged on scoring goals and stuff like that, but we don't have a great ball carrier besides Diaz, and we need someone like that. But the problem with him is he's very inconsistent. He runs with the ball. He will relieve the pressure, you know, when we're going from defense to attack. The only problem is there's not much end product from him. Gakpo, I do like his crosses into the far posts, but I'd like to see him strike a little bit more. But
Baz, quickly, just on what you're saying there, perfect example of that today, which Diaz does bits every now and again, but it's more like 80-20, and it was one of those, exactly what you're talking about today. Ball gets played out to the left, takes it down, beats one, nice, beats another, oh, nice, then goes right across the line in front of penalty area. Kind of just runs past a couple of people, someone gets a toe on it, comes to nothing. Like, just that to me that's what I think of when I think of Diaz. That's 80% of it. 20% of it is a shot goes off, he gets a goal. But more often than not, he just takes it down, he beats someone, nice, well done, turns into trouble, tries to take on one too many, and then it ends up getting taken away from him. He has to just lay off with one of the real crappy little layoff passes to nobody because he's run into trouble. Every single time is what I think with this guy. It's just so rare that it's the other end of the spectrum. Not enough for me.
This is the thing with him. He the problem is there's no one else like him in our team. You know, sometimes you do like the relieving the pressure. Like, for example,
JK loves him. JK loves him because he can hold. JK says he's the only player, and I know JK said he's the only player in the team that can hold on to the ball to relieve pressure and all that. And that's fair. That's 100% fair. And you're saying that too.
Yeah. You know, I think that anyone else that comes closest to him would be Jones. But, you know what I mean? But obviously Diaz is a lot more rapid and, you know, a lot more technically gifted. But you do need someone like him. Like, for example, you know, we talk about like Nunez, everyone's favorite striker. Like, he's a striker. He's supposed to score more goals than he does. But you know what? His work rate, you can't, you know, dispute that at all. He works hard. There are times there, you know, every player will have a poor game every now and then or whatever. But we need a little bit more than these kind of players. So like these, for example, Diaz, we need somebody that needs to do more, you know, going forward than just trying to beat a player and carry the ball. We do need assists. We do need, you know, more shots on target. And, you know, dare I say it, you know, I'm quite open to the idea. It's not like, oh, get him out of my club. I don't want him there no more. I've had enough. but I'm open to the idea of potentially selling him and going to buy another player that could have more end product. Because when you look at what Mane was before him, Mane had it all.
Yeah.
The work rates,
Yeah.
the passing, the assist, the goal scoring, and that's what Diaz doesn't have. He doesn't have the
And not the end product.
and the
He
end
can
product.
do the work.
Yeah.
He can do the running. He can do the work. But look, like I've
That
always
was
said, man,
Yeah, and then
work
someone
is
like
the bare
Salah,
minimum, guys. Working
yeah,
hard and running is the bare minimum. I can run. You can run.
yeah,
You're getting paid 100 grand. Well, you're playing for Liverpool. The bare minimum is that you run.
yeah, and
Crack back, work hard, be good at it. It's not always easy to do it in the right way. Mane was really good at pressing. That's working hard, but not like being like a busy idiot, that kind of thing, just running for the sake of it. He knew
Yeah.
when to do it. But like you say, at the end of the day, man, he scored goals. He
Mhm.
scored he did all that stuff. Awesome, brilliant. We love you for it. But he got assists, he scored goals. And
Yeah.
that's the game at the end of the day. The game is that end product. And his
Yeah.
end product for me,
It's not good enough.
it's not even it's upper levels of average probably.
Mm.
Because even look at his goals, great this year, but his assists are poor. You can
Yeah.
blame that on other things, I suppose. Oh well, who can he assist? Yada yada. But he's never been an elite player for me. But we just got so many people that we could change that I fear. JK, are you with us? I don't know if JK is with us. But Baz, I asked this question
Yeah.
yesterday. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your thoughts? I'm sure you've been listening. In case have you got
Mhm.
anything you want to add or?
Like I think with the way football is now, I think people like Diaz, they can score goals. They can probably do more assists. He's a good footballer, Diaz. But I think the way fans are, they don't really see him as a top player because of the assist rate and the goal rate. And I'm saying like I'm not really a big fan of assists and goal rate figures. It's not all about that. It's like when I watch a game, I look at the game as what is this guy doing? Is he helping the team? And for me, Diaz always does. No matter, even if he has an okay sort of game, he's always helping the team. And I've never been a big fan of Diaz. It was 12 man who talked me around to it, you know what I mean? And I've sort of realised every team needs a Diaz. Very important to the team. I think Man City got that dope lad who can also hold on to the ball for a long time and stuff, take pressure off and that. But he's got no end product
Doku.
at all. Doku. Yeah, his end product is non-existent. So I think Diaz is better than him. But for me, I think every club needs a Diaz in the team.
Yeah, but you can
On the
have
ball.
that's the thing, Jacob. You can have a Diaz. You can have someone who does what Diaz does. But it's not like it's one or the other. It's not like you can have a guy who works hard and doesn't score. Or you can have a guy who scores but doesn't work hard. There are guys that will work hard and can score. He scores. I don't think you want to get trapped into without him, you'd be broken without him. That we see that. We just think because we have something, that's the best thing you can have. Some like him, man, there's other people out there that can do just as much hard work as he does and could potentially get you more end product. I don't think it's just like one or the other. It's the same with Nunes. Like it's this idea that's been based on him. Oh well, if you want someone who scores goals, then you can't have someone who works hard. You can't have someone who does this. You can like if you want goals, you can have goals, but they won't work and they won't run. Who says? Who says? Plenty of people out there that will work hard, run hard, and can score goals. Don't want to get, to me, that's just like an easy street to go down because we have poor players in certain positions thinking that, oh, well, that's all, can't expect more than that.
Do you know what? Nunes is an example of a bit like Diaz. He works hard, yeah, but his goals per game ratio and stuff like that is not great. sorry, in terms of opportunities missed by someone like Nunes. But we all love him. We all love him because he works hard. He's Captain Chaos or whatever people like to call him.
Mm.
But ultimately, we're still now a lot of even the hardest supporters of Nunes would say, you know what, maybe it's time to let go.
Time to change.
Yeah, so it's the same thing.
Best for him.
Yeah, it's the same thing perhaps with Diaz. Like, he's a great play. He's a great player. He's an entertainer, But there needs to be a little bit more about him, and he's had a long time, and people have always said there's no end product with him over the years, and then what he'll do, he'll start a season off with with end product, and then bam, straight back to normal. Just literally like juggling, beating your man once and going back again and beating it, and then just like a soft cross and defenders there to clear it. That's the thing. But we do need
Slipper
someone.
shots.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
do.
problem Baz. Them little slipper passes where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what was that? Like you did all the good stuff, and then all you had to do was play a little ball, and you messed up the little ball. That to me is him.
Yeah.
That to me is him. It's like more often than not, yeah, you'll get the little shimmy and you go past somebody, but doesn't have that arrow, doesn't have that dagger at the end of it.
Yeah.
Which, this is probably his best season for goal scoring, without a doubt. He went heavy earlier on. I think he got 5 quickly. Then went on a barren patch. Now he's come back up again, but to me, it's still okay. But these aren't mind-blowing numbers for any player. All across Europe, you go, a top left winger in a championship winning side. He's got 11 goals. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, good. Okay.
Do you know?
Not bad.
Do you know
You're
something?
not like going, geez, 22, 20. You're not like 20 in Germany or 20 in Spain or 17 in England. It's like, well, that's pretty good, but it's not like world class numbers, and this is his best season.
Do you know what, Brian? When you look at, I know they're different players, yeah, but you know what? In terms of technical ability, he's one of the best technical players that we have, Diaz. When you look at someone like John Barnes, I know I'm going back in the days, yeah, but John Barnes, he'd whip a cross in. I get it when we don't play with like big forwards no more, like 4-4-2 or with a rush or anything like that. But John Barnes would beat a man, would make it count with a cross or take a free kick or takes a shot on target, scores. Diaz doesn't do any of that. Like even people like Giggs, Giggs would put a cross in, would beat his play. I'm talking about exciting players that run onto their defenders and stuff like that. Diaz does those things, but there's no end product. And to be honest, and what happens, it puts pressure on the team. It puts pressure on people like Salah, who now have to like overcompensate on their side to get the goals because the other side's a bit more wasteful. It's, we definitely need to have a look at our left for me. And obviously, all right, we do need a backup to Salah if we're not going to play Chiesa, because I thought that the intentions of bringing Chiesa was to give Salah a rest every now and then. That's not happening. We definitely need someone that's going to like potentially link up, whether we get a proper goal scorer or maybe a false kind of number 9 again who will assist, like in getting Salah more goals and stuff like that. I don't know, but we definitely need some kind of like modded or freshness up front somewhere.
New energy, new legs, new faces, just new energy. Pops is saying, doesn't Lucho have the second most goals in the Prem in the team after Mo? What does that say about the other 4? That's exactly what I'm saying, Pops. I was saying I'm definitely going to do a show, something based on, and people ain't going to like this, by the way, but basically, is this the worst front line? I know it isn't the worst, but is this the worst front line ever to win a Premier League? Because I think it's one of them. If you take the contributions, Gakpo, Diaz, Jota, Nunes, Salah, Chiesa, as their front 5-6. I think it might be one of the worst numbers wise to ever win a league. Without Mo Salah, it's not winning a league. Yeah, definitely. It says a lot. Pops is just saying, don't do it. It's bad enough we compare him with Mane, don't compare him with Digger. Yeah.
It's true,
Yeah.
but you know, when we talk about technical players that we've had, obviously, John Barnes was one of our best, like, you know, technical players. Luis Suarez, you know, players that have great ball control and ability. Diaz is up there with some of these players, isn't it? Like, could you imagine if we had this, you know, he had the same sort of output as John Barnes, Diaz? We'd be talking about him being probably one of the better players that we've had. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, no, but he's right. Barnsley was a legend, man.
I think it's, you know, it's that time of the season, isn't it, where you show the players are either showing up or they're not showing up, and you know, and you could look at early on in the season where we're winning everything, all the games, and you think, oh God, we've got a fantastic team. But I think when it gets to this time of the year, where all the cracks begin to show in the players who are not going to make it because they haven't got the talent, or they haven't got the stamina, or they haven't got the tactical know-how, and a few of those are always going to be shown up. And I think we've got them. You know, I always think it sounds really disloyal because we're all a very loyal fan base for Liverpool. But on the other hand, you know, we have to look at it and think, out of these players who are going to get us next year? And if you're looking like we want to be like Real Madrid or better, or we want to be like City or better, and our ambitions as a club are always to be better, then you have to be like them and have the top player in every position, and not just coast along with somebody who's not going to make it. And that, you know, so. And obviously that does also mean that FSG have got to be along with that, because they obviously have a different game plan for what they're looking for, don't they? You know, they're buy to sell and all this sort of thing. But for us, as fans, we want the best in every position, and we clearly haven't got that now. And other clubs might think, what are you talking about? You know, you got to this in the Carabao Cup, you got to this in the Champions League, you know, you're going to win the league. Yeah, but if we want to do that every year, we want to win everything, we've got to step up. That's it.
Yeah, but it all boils down to what the owners want to do. They've never really.
Sorry.
Got the manager, Bernadette, like Klopp, never really backed him. Gave him what he needed, like the basics, you know. We needed a right back.
Thanks, Baz.
Best Baz. Take care, bro.
Take care, bro.
Bye, Baz.
It's all about the owners if they got the ambition. Ambition is what gets you through and makes you keep dominating football. If you've got no ambition as owners, and winning two Premier Leagues in 15 years is enough.
That's what I'm saying.
They're not my type of owners for me.
Their ambitions may be different than ours, mightn't they? That's what I'm saying. We're always going to.
Yeah, but if their ambition is to make the biggest, I mean, I don't know actually, but they've taken it from very good investment to right up to the point where I think they would sell, but the landscape has changed now to the point where it doesn't matter if you're Saudi, it doesn't matter if you're Bezos, doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk. You can't spend any more than the league allows you to spend, because you got this new thing coming in now where the most any team can spend is 3 times what the lowest team in the league earns. And the lowest team in the league is going to earn 100 million every season. So the most any club can spend will be tagged to that. That's the new version that's coming in next season. So Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Doesn't matter if you're owned by the two richest people on the planet. All you can spend is 300 million. It's very similar to like what they do in Spain. So it's basically because you can't bring in a wage cap. You can't cap people's wages. People have always wanted to bring in a wage cap, but that's against basically employment law, is to say that the most you can pay somebody is X amount a week. So that was never going to be able to get through. But what they've done is they basically taken says, okay, well, you put a cap on how much you can spend on football. So that will include wages. So you could spend that. You can spend as much as you like on someone's wages. You can pay him 5 million quid a week, but that takes it out of your budget. So it's a wage cap without it being officially a wage cap. So we need to get, we're at the point now where they were probably going to sell. They floated it a while ago. It's worth 5-6 billion, but these people out there now, they know they can't come in and buy a club and put in their own money if they're super rich and win stuff with it. So it takes now a different type of owner to come into a club like Liverpool. So I think certain things may have been missed. I think they came in too early, thinking PSR and all that stuff, FFP would work, and it started too late for them. But now it's like, what will the Saudis came into Newcastle too late. If it was up to them, they'd spend 500 million this summer. They just they'd spend 500 million. They'd buy Mbappe out of Madrid. They'd buy Kvaratskhelia out of PSG. They just go and make it happen. They spend 600, 700 million on it. But you can't do that. They can afford it, but you can't do it. Nobody can do it. So we're going into a bit of a weird time in football. So I think like FSG is like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here.
Yeah, but plus the fact as well, like everyone thinks that FSG, well, not everybody, but a lot of people think FSG, they're not going to spend the money. They're just the tight, the mean, the this, that, and the other. That doesn't make sense because, if they're looking to, which they have, grown the value of the club from what did they pay for it? Like buttons,
300 and between
Mhm.
300 and 350.
Yeah, and it's worth, is it nearly 6 billion?
Well, that's a stock market thing, so it could be worth 3 billion tomorrow. It could be worth 7 billion but I would gather around
but we're in
3,
the
2.5, 3.
so we're in the billions.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and every time we win any sort of trophy, the shirt sales go up. The advertisers want to come in more, and the sponsors come in to sponsor you for everything. And so it's not in their interest to just say, well, we're not spending any money on anybody.
Exactly.
As a business model, it doesn't make sense. It makes sense to invest to a certain extent. Okay, we know the frugal, but I don't mind that because at least we're fiscally secure. I know that some of the clubs aren't. And as long as they keep their focus on, we want to win trophies, and you've got to help us do that. Then I'm okay with them being, sort of quite fiscal because, as I say, it's in their interest to grow the club because their long range thing is we're going to sell up and we're going to make so many billion because we've grown the club to such, and the shares.
Yeah, you can't do it by not being good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like if you like Bernie, like if you sell a house to somebody and it's kind of, it's run down, it's a grand old manor pile. It's it's seen better days, but it's very run down. It needs a lot of work. And 10 years later, that person sells it for 50 times what they bought it off of you. It's not because they just bought it, sat there, did nothing. Wait, it's because they put a ton of money and work into it, and they made it into something. It's like that's why I hate when people say, "Oh, they bought us for 300 million. Now we're worth 3 billion." They should be. It's like, who the fuck do you think turned this into a club that was worth 300 million and 3 billion? Not them. I'm not saying we were, but who turned us back into that club that should have been worth that? They put all of the effort, the work, and all of that nous into getting us back to where we were. It didn't just happen by accident.
It didn't just happen overnight, did it?
No, and also our stadium. You know the way
Yeah,
Manchester
free.
United, well, the Manchester United are getting skittered for the state of their stadium. Ours wasn't far behind when they came in, and and did it all up. And if you visited Anfield before it was done up to the way it is now, it's like night and day. It looks like a brand new stadium compared to the way it used to be.
Yeah, before the main stand was built and then Annie Road redeveloped, it didn't look great, did it? Like, it
No,
did look a bit old.
but
Especially the Annie Road, when they put the extension on the Annie Road, it didn't look great. I mean, yeah, they give it a few more seats, but it looked a bit shit, didn't it? Let's be
yeah,
honest.
it didn't look like an upmarket stadium, which it does now, Lee, doesn't it? All around, even the shop, they've opened up what the old shop was. That's now a bar, isn't it? Is it the Cop Bar or something? The whole thing looks totally upmarket. The only thing we haven't got is the same number of seats, maybe that City's got, or some of the bigger southern
Yeah,
stadiums.
they got their stadium for free though. That's the Commonwealth Stadium that was built by the City of Manchester for the Commonwealth Games. They got their stadium for free.
But ours, I just think, I mean,
Yeah,
I did.
we can't compare ours. They got a sweet deal on that thing. Turned it into the Etihad. Commonwealth used to be
That's
the
always
Commonwealth Stadium.
bothered me. It's always irked me that clubs are able to get stadiums for free, the way that City did, the way that West Ham did. I've always found that a bit unfair.
Yeah,
Oh,
Well,
you
the
got
West
a
Ham one,
stadium, oh, nice one.
Man United are trying now, aren't they? They've asked.
that's what they're trying to do. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's doing that whole thing he's doing the classic slum landlord thing
yeah.
of buying an old building and letting it go to rack and ruin and saying, "Oh, that's too expensive to rebuild," and then going and saying, "I need some public money to help me do this amazing thing I want to do."
Yeah, because he's seen
The
it
guy
happen.
who moved out of England, Jim Ratcliffe, the billionaire who left England to go and live in Monaco so he doesn't have to pay tax in England, now wants British taxpayer money to pay for half his stadium.
Oh no, he's sacked off of the staff, hasn't he? To save money and everything. But I think that's what I'm saying. I just think I mean I know. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but where FSG are concerned, for me, having seen what we had before with Gillette and Hicks and that, and how they took us nearly to bankruptcy. I remember
Sure.
getting a phone call off my neighbour, and he said, John Aldridge is trying to start a buyout. Everybody wants to commit £3,000. He said to me, can you, because he wasn't on the internet, my neighbour, and he said, can you commit for me £3,000? That's how close we were to like folding.
Yeah.
And now you think about where we were then to where we are now. I'm just grateful. I'll be honest. I just think, I mean, I am just grateful. They gave us our pride back after 30 years, so I'm just grateful for that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they could be better owners, of course, but they have done a lot for us. Like, you can't deny that. And we were in a bad state when they come in. They've done a lot, like, haven't they, with the training ground, the redevelopment. I mean, I was just made up to start off with when the main stand got done, because that made the ground look so much better. The main stand was so old.
Yeah.
So when we redone that, like, I was made up. It was just, like, brilliant.
But also, Lee, I don't think they've forgotten the spirit of the club. The club doesn't seem any different. However they've let the day-to-day running of the club go, we've still got all the things going on in the community that we had before. You still got all the sentimental things that have always happened for fans looking after each other and different things and who's important to the club, And I think that's like amazing for me, the fact that we've never lost, because that started with the Moores, the Moores brothers, the way they ran the club more like a family. And that's never changed, and you think, well, hang on a minute, we've changed owners, we've changed managers, we've changed administration, and yet the core of that club is still there the same. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. I always like meeting fans, non-Scouse fans at the match, in the pubs around Anfield, because I used to like going for a few drinks before the match around Anfield, and I always loved speaking to people from around the country or from abroad, Liverpool fans, when I was in the pubs, doing my best welcoming Scouser.
Is
I
that
can
so
say
they buy you a
impressing, but
drink?
I am a welcoming Scouser. I'm a friendly guy when all's said and done, not all the time, but 90% of the time, and I'm a nice, friendly, welcoming guy. So if I meet people and I've got something in common with them, the first thing I want to do is have a chat to them.
Is that so they buy you a drink, all night?
Yeah, I only used to have a few before the match, and I used to get hammered before the match. I just have a few, you know what I mean? So you're in that little smiley content place that you get from just a few drinks, and then obviously you can have more after a match, can't you? But I always enjoyed that, yeah, talking to Geordies, bloody Cockneys, whoever in the pubs, and having a laugh with them. Yeah, always enjoyed that part of the just the Liverpool feeling, I suppose you do it at all clubs, if you support a team and then out of towners are there to support your team too, you're going to be friendly to them, surely, whichever club it is. But I think Liverpool does do that well, and always has as a club. Makes it a big family type thing.
I think that's just a human thing, to be honest with you, more than anything.
Isn't it? It is.
It's just people from Portsmouth to Newcastle. They all have those. It's not just definitely. I'm not saying it's not a Liverpool thing, but of course, it's just that's just a human thing. That's one of the good things about football, really. You show up in a foreign country, you go to the right bar, you put on the thing, and say, "Oh, you're a Liverpool fan." Away you go.
Oh yeah, if you go to the Far East, Thailand or somewhere like that, I think you're a celebrity if you say, or especially if you say you're from Liverpool as well,
No, I think Pops, we came pretty close, man. We came pretty bloody close, to be honest. We wouldn't have disappeared, but we were very, very close. Far too close than a club our size should ever have come.
Oh yeah, we were
Really.
doing the High Court for the Royal Bank of Scotland. We're gonna
Yeah.
we're
They're
trying.
calling it in.
Yeah, they were calling it in. And there was a guy called Steve Morgan, who's the owner of Redrow Homes, and he was trying.
He was trying to buy us.
Yeah, and he didn't have the money. He
Had nowhere near the money. I
he
brought this up before, Bernie. I looked at him at the time and I saw a headline saying he was worth 300 million, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
That's not even our debt. Our debt was more than that.
I know that guy. I know him from my job. I met him through my work and everything. And as a guy who's quite well off, yeah, he decided at one stage he was going to. He was a big Liverpool fan, but he decided that the money that he'd made, he was in his father was in groundworking, and he'd started with that, but then he'd gone a bit higher. He had big ambitions. And he took his family out of school and he got a yacht, and he decided that if he could make a decision in the boardroom, he could make his decision on a yacht. And he sailed around the world with his kids, took them out for a year, and said if his staff weren't good enough to run the company while he was away, then he didn't have the right staff. So he had all the communications. But that that's great. That sounds like you're loaded, but still not loaded enough to buy our club.
Nowhere near. Nowhere near. I just laughed when I saw he's worth 300 million. Like, this guy would have been a Jack Walker 15 years previously. Now it's like the DIC was trying to take us over. They were like 1.5 billion fund, all this stuff. It was billionaires were taking over football clubs then, not a guy like him who, dragged himself up from nothing. Would have loved the club. I think he took over Wolves in the end. He bought, I think it was Wolves he bought. That was when you could buy a football club for like 30 million quid.
Yeah.
But it's like someone said, like, what's the quickest way to become a millionaire? The quickest way to become a millionaire is become a billionaire and then buy a football club. Because this day and age, you can't take these people over with your own money. John Henry doesn't take out of his own pocket. He doesn't put in his own pocket because he's a businessman. He knows that's not. He's not saying, "Oh, I'll take over Liverpool and here's my checkbook, John Henry." No, that's not how it works. That's not how he ever said it would work. And that's how I've always said I only judge them on doing what they said they were going to do when they came in, and that's what they've done. You know, they don't take money out. People say they take money out. They literally don't. They'll get their payday when they sell it. The
Yeah.
Glazers take a dividend. The Glazers take a massive dividend, and Man United pays their debt. That does not happen for Liverpool. John Henry does not take money out of Liverpool. He owns it, and his wealth goes up in terms of the fact that he owns the shit. He's a majority owner in FSG, but he's not sitting there taking £1 million a week or £1 million a month out of Liverpool. He doesn't. It all goes back into the club, and when he sells it, because he's a businessman, he knows the best thing to do is to make that thing as profitable and as valuable as possible. So that when he does sell it, he's not going to do what the Glazers do and siphon off 5, 10, 15 million a year out of it
No.
to put in their pockets, because
He's a
that
good
devalues
boy.
the club. He'll make his money on the end. On
But
the
you
end.
know, do you know what?
That's why, no, sorry, that's why the one thing I always hate is when Liverpool fans say, "Oh, we've got X amount of money. Oh, that'll go straight in John Henry's pocket," because it's just so factually incorrect. It's just to be stupid. It's just so completely factually incorrect. I know,
People are
even
just
if you mean it in the
joking off,
spirit.
aren't they? People are just having a laugh when they say, "Oh, there's a new yacht for Gio."
Yeah, but some people, no, but Lee, some people
Believe it.
genuinely believe that
Yeah.
he actually takes money out of Liverpool, 10 million quid from a transfer, and puts it into his own personal bank account.
Yeah.
Some people genuinely believe that stuff. Our accounts are public. You can look at our accounts. The numbers are out there. You can literally look them up. They're out there. You can see where every single penny goes. So
How
this
do you
idea that he
think,
takes money out of the club and puts it in his own pocket, that shit infuriates me.
how do you think they stack up against the Glazers, FSG, as owners? How do you
There's
think
no
they-
comparison, man. Those slimy bastards over there, they bought the club. They basically said, they went to a bank and said, they had like, I think 200 million. Fair play to them. They had 200 million. They wanted to buy 450 million or borrow 450. And they said, if you loan us 450 million, we'll have 650 million. Then we can buy Man United. That'll be worth 650 million. That's the collateral. That's it. That's it. Only rich people can do that. They say, you loan me enough money to buy that house, then that's the collateral.
Yeah, they
And
use us. They
huge
use us.
debt repayments, interest payments every year, 10 million, 15 million, 20 million a year, paying back the debt. They've never, like in 10 years of owning the club, even though they were one of the most profitable football clubs on the planet, all they ever did was pay off the interest. They never paid off the debt because the debt will be passed on to the next owner. All they ever did was use Man United to pay off the interest. And then, so the debt has remained static at like about 600 million. And then pay themselves about 5-10 million a year between the 3 or 4 of them. That's it. They're parasites, total parasites.
I know, and FSG came in and gave us an interest-free loan of their own money to get us back up and running. And that, you know, so there's certain things, isn't there, you know, that you think that they did do us a lot of good, but I worry, you know, because I know unless we're going to get somebody who's got empty pockets and is prepared to, you know, throw
But
them
it
up.
doesn't matter, Bernie. It doesn't matter. If we earn 200 million a year, it doesn't matter if we've got bottomless pockets, guy.
No,
We
but
can only spend. It's irrelevant.
yeah, okay, right. But what I mean though, Brian, is I do worry because I like the way they've run us, to be honest with you, and I think you know, like he's not getting any younger, is he, John Henry? And
No,
at some stage he's going to want his payday. How long does he want to go on?
He's nearly 80 now, and that's not that's not a long time away.
That's what I mean.
I think he's 77 now.
Yeah, so if I was him, I'd be looking to start cashing in on my money, unless he genuinely likes us as a hobby, you know, likes us to do well, you know, unless that because everyone thinks it is just a business to him, but we don't know. Maybe he does he does want to, see us do well. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. Because otherwise, you think he'd be gone, at that age, wouldn't you? You think he'd be cashing in to go off into the sunset.
Yeah, I don't think it's far off.
Yeah, they're not very much liked, are they? The Glazers amongst the United fan base. They haven't been for a long time, have they? If they ever were.
No, they hate them.
Oh, they're despised, man. They are absolutely despised.
Well, they do sound fairly despicable, like in many ways.
Have
you said, taking money out the club and all that, and they got that loan to buy it. They don't sound like great owners, if you hear that, it's just the backstory, like, of your owners.
Have you ever seen them, Lee, interview? They sent a reporter over to interview one of them when they were, all the fans were complaining they wanted them out. They were outside all the time saying, get them out. Yeah. So they sent a reporter over, and I think it was Miami, somewhere like that. And the guy is going into a nightclub, thinks he's the bee's knees. He looks like an aging BG, And they said to him, why don't you sell? Why don't you? And he said no. They just won't. They know it's a payday for them. So
you say you look like an aging BG?
Yeah, you look like one of the BGs, with long hair. Honestly. But, they won't sell because they know they're not investing in it, but they're getting a big payday off it all the time.
Yeah, they don't have to do anything, just watch the money roll in.
Yeah, it's not nice the way football's gone with all the different owners and that, is it? Like, I wish, we had a different model, like, the Germans have got it, maybe, like, theirs is good in it, like, fan ownership and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the only way to go, man. As far as I'm concerned, because fans don't realize that fan ownership would basically give you the hierarchy that you have now. Because fan ownership would basically be clubs run on the commercial basis. So all you have to do is elect a few people that know how to run it commercially, and the biggest clubs will earn the most money. So if you have fan-owned clubs, you don't need rich owners. Just don't need them.
As I remember the old days, I mean, yeah, you always had a rich owner. We had David Moores was a rich owner. But as I remember it in the old days, we were never after our massively dominant period, like, we were never so much richer than everybody else, like, in the late 80s or whatever. We couldn't just like outspend everybody by, by a mile type thing. Like, yeah, we could spend big fees and that, but other clubs could too. There were still other clubs that could buy players for big fees and that. Like, it didn't make it was just when Sky came along, wasn't it? Like, United, it was timed perfectly. Their ascent under Fergie, wasn't it? Like, he won the first.
Alex Ferguson, Sky, the whole lot. Beckham and Giggs, Sky Sports, perfect.
Remember when Sky actually tried to buy United, but were told no, you can't, because it would be
unfair. Do that, lads. Yeah, you can't be doing that.
I was happy that happened anyway. That they were told no, that their hands were slapped.
Yeah, Mighty Mag, how you doing, mate? I hope you're well. Bad result for you guys yesterday. Bad result. Shocking, almost. 4-1 hammering by the Villains. Nobody saw that coming. What did we have today? We had just a standard 2024, 2025 Manchester United getting beaten 1-0 at home by Wolves. That's pretty much, I mean, if that doesn't sum them up, 1-0 at home by Wolves. You can get beat by Wolves. Yeah, you can get beat by Wolves if you're Man United. That can happen. That can happen. But you don't get beaten by them at home without scoring. Not even Not a 4-3, not a wow, that crazy game, just a 1-0. 1-0 at home by fucking Wolves.
Plus, United have a good record against Wolves over time, and recently and over time, they have a good record against Wolves. I didn't see that one coming today. Thought they might get a draw out
15
of it.
defeats. That's 15 times they've been beaten in the league this season. Man
Oh, that's
United.
terrible, that, isn't it?
15 losses.
My word. I mean, half of that
Do you
goes
remember
on
when
the
Fergie
head
used to
as
say
well,
you can only lose 3 games if you want to win a league title? Do you remember Fergie used to say that? If you want a
yeah,
league title, the most you can win is, or the most you can lose is, I think he said 5, but that was back in the day. Now it's like kind of 3,
yeah.
but 15 defeats in the league. Getting bet 1-0 at home by Wolves.
Yeah. For us to lose one league game in 18-19 and not win the league after only losing one game was crazy, wasn't it? But yeah, you're right. It used
Yeah,
to be.
I can't remember last. Have we ever lost 15 times in the league season?
Not that I know of. No, I can never remember. Don't think I can remember us ever losing 15 in one season.
11, maybe 11 or 12, probably in a bad one.
Yeah, maybe double figures, just, but not a.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely we've had double figures. Definitely.
Yeah, 15's
But
awful.
15, and it ain't over yet. But to lose at home to Wolves without even being able to score, that's fucking crazy.
Do you know, there's something perverse as well about watching Bruno Fernandes take that free kick and totally hoof it over over the goal. And, you know, because he always looks like he wants to cry, doesn't he?
Yeah. I always see Master Splinter when I look at him, a child like that. Ever since somebody said it, it wasn't me who said it. Obviously, like someone else likened him to Master Splinter from the Mutant Turtles, and he does look like him, doesn't he? Every time I see him, I can't help laughing. It just makes me laugh, the Master Splinter thing with Fernandes.
There was a rat like nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does, actually.
Yeah,
And-
Barney. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Eddie Howe is pneumonia, I think, wasn't it? Pneumonia?
Yeah, I just wondered how he was, because they said he's not going to come back for the season, didn't they? He's out for the rest of the season, I think.
Is that
Oh,
what
yeah,
it
that's
is?
him now.
Pneumonia. I hadn't heard. That's a crazy one, that, for a football
Bit of a
manager.
weird one. Well, the first one that they put out was the first story that I saw that they put out was that he'd been to the dentist and he'd had quite a bit of work done. So obviously, when you go to the dentist, they use quite strong painkillers and stuff. And
Yeah.
he'd had a bit of a bad reaction to the painkillers kind of thing. So he'd gone into hospital overnight. So that's kind of thing rich people do. You know, most people just go home and feel woozy, but no, he goes to hospital. Okay, cool. But then it was like, oh no, he's got pneumonia, which makes me think that both those stories aren't true. Because if you change the story about why someone's in hospital once, then I don't believe what you say the second time.
Yeah, that doesn't
You know.
ring true, does it? Like,
Yeah, well, you said he was in because he had a bad reaction to too much painkillers from the dentist. Okay, cool. But now, oh no, he's out for the fucking entire Premier League season because he has pneumonia. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's a completely different story than the first version of the story.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to believe the second version.
It can affect you, like all the painkillers, because I had a tooth out.
Yeah, but not that fucking much.
No,
not enough.
What I'm going to say is, but my brother, I haven't seen him for a while, and that day he said, I'm coming over, let's go out for a beer. And I went, I'm having my tooth out. And he went, you can still go out, can't you? And I went, yeah. And as soon as I'd had my tooth out, I went to the pub, which is only like a few hundred yards away from the bloody dentist. And I was all over the place, because of all I felt all right. There was sound at first, but it made me, I was all over the place. I know I was like, become a bit shouty and weird around the football. It was around the match, like, but I'll never do that again. That's the first time I'd ever done that. I drank after having my tooth out, but it was a big tooth as well. It was one of them back ones. Like, should never have done that. Stupid thing to do. But he was coming over, like, and he wanted to go for a beer, so we did it.
I hope for Eddie's sake that it's not pneumonia, because for a man who's fit of his age pneumonia is an underlying thing for something else. So I hope it's not that.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Jason Tyndall, though, I'm sure he has no problem with stepping up for the rest of the season. Got
Yeah.
main character syndrome going on there, so he does.
Yeah, I know nothing about Tyndall, like, so it's a good one for him to have a little go. Remember Phil Thompson doing it?
No. If anybody knows anything about Jason Tyndall, they'll know what I'm talking about. This is the guy who, if there's a photograph being taken of Eddie Howe or a camera being
He'll be
pointed at
there.
Eddie Howe, he
Mhm.
just appears in front of him. He's
Yeah.
famous. Like, he was the first
Yeah,
player.
he wants to be top dog. He wants to be main guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the assistant manager. He was the first person to lift the cup.
Really?
The guy is
we-
just
Yeah.
he's unbelievable, this lad.
Like,
He's
you don't see Johnny
unbelievable.
Hittinger, really. You don't really see him about Johnny Hittinger. You see him now and again. But this guy, you see him all the bloody time, bro.
Tyndall
number
Yeah.
2
sounds like
sits in the
somebody
background.
out of Emmerdale. Sounds like a family from Emmerdale, the Tyndalls.
Yeah, Tyndall. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, he looks like an extra from Emmerdale. He's all tan and white
Hollyoaks.
teeth.
He looks like Hollyoaks,
Yeah, he's
man.
got Hollyoaks. Look.
Fine.
But no, you'll see the camera go to like Eddie Howe on the touchline, and 99 times out of 100, within 5 seconds or within 0.5 of a second, Jason Tyndall would just appear in front of him because he knows the camera's on him.
Mm.
Just
He's like a
if he
parrot,
was
isn't he?
chocolate, exactly like Norma saying, if Tyndall was chocolate, he would eat himself. Absolutely. That's the best way of putting it, man.
Oh, I love things like that. I think things like that are deeply hilarious. Like when somebody's like an attention junkie like that, you know, like it can be in any medium. Like, but I'll have to look out for this with Eddie Tyndall once Howe is back. See how often he's like edging into the photo, like from the left or from the right, like, you know.
Oh yeah, something happens. They cut to the dugout. Eddie Howe, boom, Jason Tyndall's face.
Is he actually from Newcastle himself? Is he?
Fuck knows.
He looks like
You know they
topping,
call him
doesn't he?
JT. You know they definitely call him JT.
No, he's a Yorkshireman. he is actually from Emmerdale. He's a Yorkshireman.
Yeah.
Because you think if he's wanting to
JT,
get in
man.
like that, he'd be proud of his hometown. But you just think he's a bit of a junkie for fame, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You get them type of characters. They stick out like a sore thumb.
Phil Thompson did a good
They got the
job,
hairstyle
didn't he,
at the same time.
when Houllier was in hospital. I mean, Gerrard wasn't the same guy. Apparently, when he came out, people said that he changed, which he was, I suppose.
Yeah, of course.
A bypass operation. Do you remember the
passed away.
comeback match when Eddie Heskey scored that header? He got up dead high against Roma. Remember Capello's Roma were at Anfield for Houlier's comeback match?
I was at the game where he had the heart attack, Lee. You know, it was against Leeds, and it was O'Leary, I think, was the manager.
Mm-hmm.
And they were great mates, and they both like red wine, Houllier and O'Leary, and they'd arranged to have a meal and wine afterwards. I always remember I had taken my 2 nephews to the Cop, and we were in the Cop, and he never came out, at half time, and they said, the thing he'd had was it's gone from his back apparently, and it split his aorta in 2. It couldn't come up his back wherever it happened, and it split his aorta in 2. And they said if he had that anywhere else, he would have been dead. It kills people, but because of the medics at Liverpool, being on hand with everything straight away, they stabilised him enough to get him to hospital and saved his life. It was amazing, really, that he made it.
So this is Tyndall, yeah. This is Tyndall. This picture.
Fake suntan. He's on the sunbed. He's got one in his bedroom, I bet.
Yeah, his plan to become like ever present in front of the camera. I mean, I still didn't recognise him then. I knew it was him, like from what you were saying. But like, if somebody wouldn't have told me, I'd have been like, "Who is this? Who is he?" So
Norm's just said if he could eat himself, he would. There used to be another saying in Ireland: if he could die in his own arms, he would.
Yes, he's far more poetic over here, you know.
Yeah, we've always used that one. If he was made of chocolate, he'd eat himself about people. Which throw in it, like with some people.
He's the type of guy who walk past the mirror and just wink at himself. You know what I mean? He just looks like that type of guy, man.
Yeah.
He just writes
Wink,
himself out
wink
in the
at himself
face.
and point his finger at the mirror with his thumb sticking up.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like one finger. Hey. It's like
Hey.
thumbs up.
I'm gonna call him Fonz from now on.
Tindo. Yeah.
Tindo. My name's Tindo, but you can call me Tindo. Hey, what a guy, man.
Yeah, JT. You can call me JT.
I remember
But I
when
bet
I was about like 16, leather coats became everyone wanted to have a leather coat suddenly, like a black one. And when I first put it on, my mum went, bloody hell, we've got the Fonz living with us, you know, taking the piss because I had a leather on. But yeah, I was going to match as well. I went, sure, I'm going to match. You know, all right, like, but they became a big thing, like leathers, like coats do. Like suddenly there's a certain type of coat, everyone wants one for only like 6 months, and then there's something else.
Who put that picture up? Who put that picture up of him?
Tindo did.
Yeah, JT's in charge now. JT's taking over.
I was going to say, put it up again so we can have a better laugh.
I've never had a long leather though, like Ron Atkinson's. Normally remembers that banner. It was at Heysel, unfortunately, but there were other funny banners that evening. One of them was, it just said, all it said on it was Big Ron's long leather. There were no other words saying, isn't it an atrocious garment, blah, blah. It just said Big Ron's long leather. And it was hilarious because he had this long brown leather that was down to his ankles, Ron Atkinson, in the mid-80s. Yeah. Remember this long brown leather that went down to his ankles?
Yeah, and do you remember he wore like a leather cowboy hat?
He looks vaguely haunted, though, doesn't
he? We used to call him Mr. Bojangles at the time when he was Man United manager, because he had a reputation as a bit of a champagne Charlie. We used to call him Mr. Bojangles.
He had the gold bracelets, he had the ring, he had the medallion, the gold sunglasses.
But when you think about it, you know, like how the
Jason
hell...
Tindall doesn't look very happy there. To me, he just looks like he looks vaguely haunted there.
Isn't it weird the way people in football have their teeth, and that's the way Klopp had his teeth and his eyes done? If you'd have told Bill Shankly in the 60s that like football managers would start having their teeth and their eyes and their hair done and everything, like he'd be like, piss off.
Yeah, he looks like a bit like a Klopp if his hair was blonde. He's got the turkey teeth.
Well, you can go too far, you know. You can go too far. It's just like, yeah, you look fake now, and it's just like you've lost it. You know, you got to pitch it just below. Below.
He's been to Turkey. He's had his teeth done. He's had a bit. He's had a bit of a hair week.
Klopp's teeth receive a lot of attention when he arrived out from rival fans. They were like, they were looking, what can we get on him? And it was like, oh, have you seen his teeth? That Klopp. I remember when we first got him, the bar he used to drink in was an Everton bar, and this lad said to me, he looks like Jeffrey Dahmer. He said, Klopp looks like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Kind of does.
He's got blonde hair and glasses.
He does a bit.
He looks like
he does a bit, yeah. Yeah, that's what you need, though, really, isn't it? That's what you need sometimes.
It's, you know, like
a Teutonic rage, you know.
Yeah. He's from
it
the
just
Black
shows you,
Forest,
though,
isn't
Brian,
he?
You know how stressful the job is, because since he's left, he's starting to look more human again, Klopp, because he was looking worn out. I thought, you know, must be the pressure of the game on them. He definitely looks like he's you know, he looks like he's rejuvenated since he left.
Yeah, that's why I think the Madrid job would be too soon this summer for Klopp, because he's only had like 12 months. That isn't a long time to recharge your batteries, I don't think.
No, he won't take it.
He's not going back in management.
No, his agent said he wouldn't take that.
No, Alonso is the man for Madrid. Alonso is going to be the manager for Madrid, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
And Klopp
Lee,
does not
Lee,
need it. Klopp doesn't need the bullshit anymore. He's going to go and just take that Red Bull money.
I hope so. It'd be great if he didn't manage again. If he does, I'll be supporting him.
He
but
might come back. I just mean in terms of like the next couple of years. Yeah, well, he said he's going to do it definitely.
yeah,
There's going to be none of that shit happening.
glad of that anyway.
Lee, Norm's asking you, what did you used to sing to Ray Wilkins?
Oh yeah, I can say it. I think.
I don't think you should.
Oh no, I shouldn't now.
Oh, is it rude?
Well, it's sexuality is involved. It's
Oh,
about
yeah, I
thinking
don't
in
think you should.
balls. A word that rhymes with scent, and his backside was you could negotiate a fee for his backside was the end of the song.
Oh yeah, you can't say that, can you?
Yeah.
No, we didn't even need the yeah. Norm, you're bold.
They'd say the
This is
Brian
not my
Robson
channel. This is not my channel.
Norm trying to get into trouble. Lee.
UTD. Brian Robson's got VD with a knick-knack. As he was the dog a bone. Man United. F off home. I used to like that one when I was a kid. You can change it to Ryan Giggs, couldn't you? You could change it to Ryan Giggs, given his bedroom antics and that. Like he could be.
I met Brian Robson once.
Oh, he's nice, Brian Robson.
Yeah, he's nice. Top guy, actually.
Nice man, but he was Man United captain. So, you know, it's just the way it was.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
But,
Yeah.
Is that
Okay.
still there?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, don't. Why did you ask him? He said, "Don't repeat it." He said, "Do not repeat it." Why did you put Norm?
ask
Man,
me to say
you're the
something.
worst. See, you're the worst, Norm. You're just in here causing trouble, man. You're just in here causing trouble. Yeah, I think we should call that a night, unless anybody has anything else to say. Because yeah, I've been on here all fucking day, so I'm happy to call it a night.
Cool. Yep. Thanks for the chat. Press the like on the like button. Bless up 12 man Nalante as well. And nice one for Bernadette and Baz coming on. It was good to hear you guys. Yeah.
I got dragged on, JK.
Mm-hmm.
He had me on the. I was on the first one with him on his own, and then I got a text telling me to get over to this one.
Nah, it's good to hear your voice. You speak sense about football. Good to hear other people's opinions as well. You know what I mean? No one wants to hear mine and Brian's all the time.
No, thanks.
Oh hell yeah! Nobody wants to listen to us.
I think as well, you know, so sometimes, you know, from a female point of view, some guys don't give a female any sort of chance. But I've been supporting Liverpool since I was a little girl, you know, and like all of you, you know, you've seen all the players and the teams come and go. You shared in all the big things and that, and
yeah, my mum loves the footy. My sister
Yeah.
never did, like, but my mum loves the footy.
Oh, I love it. You know, my biggest thing is missing my dad. You know, I lost my dad a couple of years ago, but my biggest thing was because he was like you, Lee. You know, your dad. My dad was an Evertonian. He used to go to the home and away games, and he couldn't believe I supported Liverpool. But you know what? We watched the footy together. We watched all the derbies. We'd go to them. And we'd sit and watch every game. You know, if I turned up, even when I'd moved out and I lived away and I'd come home and if the football was on, he'd say, you know, get a cup of tea and come and sit here. And we'd sit and, you know, I love that. I absolutely loved it. Don't know, I've missed that.
Once I started supporting Liverpool, I wanted me stepdad's Liverpool top because I didn't have one. He had the red. You know, when we first got Hitachi as a sponsor, the red Liverpool kit with the V-neck white.
Oh yeah,
white V-neck. I think it had white cuts on the sleeves, but I loved it. I thought it was the sexiest garment I'd ever seen. It was about 7 or 8, and then I got this yellow one that I'm wearing for my first Liverpool kit. But I loved his Liverpool. Was the home red kit when I was growing up. Like I wanted one until I got my away kit.
But if you took out your family and your loved ones, your friends and your family, if you took all that out of your life, I think I mean, I'm just reading what Norm's saying there about his wife and daughter. I think for me, Liverpool have given me some of the best pleasure I've had in my life, and I've had a good I mean, we've all had great holidays, we've all done great things, and as I say, your friends and your family. But the pure joy they give you, without them, it'd be a huge hole, wouldn't it, in your life? I've absolutely, we've had the highs and lows with them, but it's such a fantastic thing to have in your life, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
football's important. I think it keeps you out of trouble when you're young, and it gives you a distraction. Like weekends in the middle of the week, after work and stuff, watch a game and stuff like that. And it's a healthy thing, football. That's the main thing about football. It's a healthy thing to do,
Yeah.
and it keeps you out of trouble when you're young, 100%.
But JK, the highs and the lows, like when you think about it, like because I always remember my dad was a very pragmatic man, and he used to say to me, look, when I'd be devastated if we lost, and he'd say to me, look, not everybody, let someone else win sometimes. Can't they
That's
have
what my mum says.
yeah, can't
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have the sort of feeling that you've got now? Don't be so greedy, let someone else enjoy it. And I used to think, I wasn't happy with that, because you want to win, don't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that sometimes I think sometimes we are a bit like that. We do let, if you have to, if you lose a game, you're devastated. But then you've got to put that behind you and think, well, sometimes I've thought that even for Newcastle when they won, the Carabao Cup, and I thought, I'm devastated for us, but I'm happy for them, because they've got the feeling that we would have had. You've got to, you can't be.
Yeah, I'm happy for Newcastle to have the cup. I didn't want to lose it, obviously, but to that look, it'd be better than say we lost it to Man United or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Losing it to Newcastle's not that bad, is it? Because it gives their fans the boost of a trophies on it, and they did deserve it on the day, didn't they? I mean, we didn't really, did we? So they deserved it on the day.
And a photo opportunity for Tyndall.
Yeah. Tyndall's big day out.
He's already
JT.
He's booked in to get his teeth re-whitened.
He's doing press conferences and everything now. He's got the whole shebang. He's busy man.
He's been on the phone to Bobby Firmino saying, "Who's your dentist?"
Yeah, like probably hook us up. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was next?
Oh, he's like, it's all natural, baby. It's all natural.
Yeah, his next press conference, instead of him sitting there, there's just a pair of false teeth, really white out there in his place where he's meant to be for the interview.
Those little chattery teeth things, the little wind-up chattery teeth things.
Possibly, possibly even moving ones you could wind up, yeah.
I believe Elon Musk has hired Bobby to light up for his next rocket going off, to light the sky up for him. Just points his teeth to the stars.
It is mad it's become a thing in football, isn't it, though? But I don't blame him. Don't blame Klopp, because he did get a lot of stick from rival fans.
Well, these guys have money to spend, man. If you get paid for
the moment he arrived, the fans looking at him and go, right, what can we have him on? What does he look like?
Here's a question for men, for you guys. If you were say you needed your teeth were a bit you could improve your teeth, or you could improve the growth of your hair, say, what would you rather go for? If you could only do one, say your hair was getting a bit thin or your teeth were needed doing, what would you go for out of the two?
If I've been going for a bald for a while, or I've been virtually bald for a while, I'd probably have the hair.
Would you?
Probably.
How about you, Brian? What would you go for?
Well, as I don't know how many people are watching this.
There's not many, I don't think, is there?
I have been not like Super Bowl or whatever, but like I'm kind of fairly thin in hair since late 20s maybe. But I also had some problems, and I have actually I've been to Hungary. I've had my teeth done, as it were. I have implants, and I've done that. So I've actually I've actually gone and done that. I've had that. Took me a year, but I had to go over there twice and stuff. But I've had a fairly extensive dental work done. In that kind of in Hungary, and you can do it in Dublin, Turkey, or whatever. But I had it done in Budapest. But yeah, you're never really happy. You think if there's something wrong with you physically, you think if you get that fixed, you'll feel happier. But all that really happens is that you then just notice other things that you think are wrong with you. So
on something
Yeah.
else.
yeah. So I would like right now. I'd be like, yeah, I'd love to get a proper fucking full on hair transplant kind of thing. But I've been thinning, bald, whatever for a while. But so I could have done both, and I've done the teeth one, but it made my life a lot more comfortable for a while, but it didn't make me feel any better about myself.
God, didn't Mickey Rourke look so weird when he had that facelift? He looked terrible, didn't he, Mickey Rourke?
I'll tell you what, Mo Salah is the best advert for a hair implant that I've ever seen. I mean,
I didn't think he needed one. I didn't
Well,
think he really needed one. He just got like a bit of an extra inch done on the front. I didn't really think he even needed one.
Yeah, but I think as it grew it long, he looked a bit like there's somebody on a cartoon. It was on The Simpsons.
He looked a bit like Garfunkel, didn't he? He looked a bit like Garfunkel with balls at the front and curly, bouncy on top.
Yeah, but even then, he's no Stevie G, but Stevie G is like, but I guarantee if I'd had my hair done, I'd be like, oh, I liked the fact that I had my hair done, but I wish I'd had my teeth done or something. You can't play, it doesn't make you feel any better.
Yeah, one thing leads to another, something like that.
Yeah, I'd imagine that. I can see how that'd be a thing. Yeah, if you got one thing, I'd be like that, I reckon.
I mean, I look at Prince Harry and I think,
if you're not happy with yourself, you're not happy with yourself. Your teeth or your hair ain't gonna fucking change that.
Well, Harry used to skit Prince William, didn't he? But I think to myself, well, if you've got the money you've got, why don't you go and get if you've got that money and he's skitting his brother for going bald, why doesn't he go for it? But not some men like to be bald, don't they?
But you can't even today, Barney. Even like with the like Rooney was like to say he went too early. Even today with like all the technology in the world, you can't like guarantee it. Like you can't just put a proper fucking thick head hair. Like you can't just become Dominic Szoboszlai tomorrow. Like you have to take it from your own all that.
Yeah, Rooney only had a bit, didn't he? It was still like
Rooney's looked like shit. Rooney still looked bald,
wasn't it? That's all it was.
So it doesn't. There's no like you can't just like basically like make yourself like Mr. like Homer in The Simpsons, with the moxon and all these spray and you become like Tarzan and all that. No, it's still DNA. There's still a lot of that, but you can like Rooney had the best one available. That was a long time ago. But even today, there's no guarantee. Like you can put in perfect teeth into somebody, and now they do it too much. They're too white, so they just look obviously fake, and people don't realize that. You need to tone them down a bit.
Yeah, that's it.
But the hair thing, there's no guarantee still, even with the best of the best, that you'll grow a full thick head of hair.
Unless you're Elton John. Look at. I mean, do you remember when he first started?
Just get a syrup. Just get a syrup and a hat. Away you go.
I was watching the video to Nikita. I like that song, Nikita. And he's got a hat on, but he's got a slullet. It's like a mullet at the back. I call that a slullet.
Yeah.
He looks terrible.
Fuck it. Who cares?
Do you know what? I worked with a guy years ago, and he quite obviously had a wig. It was like a long. It was just like this big black thing on his head, and
All
the
right,
guy.
JK, take care, man. See you, JK. JK has to go. Thanks, JK.
Bye,
Talk soon.
JK.
Take care, JK. JK Brian Bernadette.
JK.
That's the one
Bye.
who win. Take care. Yep.
And this guy, and he's from Manchester and had this really big, thick wig on his head, and he used to dye it as well, which made it look even worse. It was jet black, and one of the managers with us was a Scouser, and he was so funny, and he said there was him with his hair blowing in the wind, and he was too shy to run after it, because a good blast of wind, it would have taken it down the street,
The thing with Elton John had quite bushy eyebrows, and that sort of somehow drew attention even more to the top of his head. So I can see when he started wearing the wig. It was so funny when he started wearing the wig, wasn't it? But fair play to him, he knew that everyone knew, and he's wearing ours. It's like, I'm Elton John, I don't care.
I would have thought, to be honest, it was more the glasses he was wearing that I think it was. I think that was a clever trick that he used to take away. For me, because he was like, what's he going to be wearing on his face now? So don't look at his head, look at his face. Forget about that. But yeah. But look, lads, I'm not into Elton
John, but I like a couple of songs from when I was a kid. But like he's quite he's an all right fella in that, like, he can be funny when he wants to be funny. He can do all that, like sucking the establishment's arse, kissing the establishment's arse. But he can also be funny, like when he given the chance to be. I've heard him say funny things. Well, I've read funny things that he said anyway. So
you trying to end up, Brian? You trying to close?
Yeah, I'm just going to end this up now because, it's
long.
I just
been
gonna
on a
drop
long
out. So
time.
I've been on since fucking 3:30 today.
Well, if anybody wants to go on, they can always go into Discord, can't they, and have a chat in there.
Exactly. So I'm good, and this is my channel as well. So, but yeah, 12 must be. Yeah, look, 12 will be back. Don't worry, back probably tomorrow. We're doing another match review. But yeah, everybody that's been here, thanks for being here. Bernie, Lee, JK, Baz, and everybody in the chat. There we